Hello, Dad. Where are we off to next?
We're off to the island of Curaçao. Here's to you.
Well, I'd say those are staircases that lead nowhere. Well, greetings everyone. It's me, Steve. I'm here at Rif Fort, built in 1828 in Curaçao. Beautiful Caribbean island with its Dutch, Netherlands influences. It's beautiful. Well, today this fort is no longer a fort. It's actually a shopping mall, and there's lots of bars and restaurants down below, and there's even a very elegant hotel right next door. Okay, well, welcome back. Before we get started, I just want to quickly say that this video is actually more than one trip to Curaçao. It's both pre and post shutdown of the cruise ships due to the coronavirus, so hopefully it's not too confusing. And before we leave the fort, I want to show you this beautiful shot of St. Anna Bay, which is the main bay that divides the city we're about to go into. It's about a mile long and 1,000 feet wide, and is deep enough for the cruise ships to come in. The few cruise ships that were docked in port this day will make up the bulk of the visitors that we'll be seeing. Once we get outside the fort, past its cannon, you'll see off to the side a statue of a very important man in the history of Curaçao. It's Dr. Efraïn Jonckheer, the island's first Prime Minister, and in his hand is a petition to the Queen of the Netherlands for the island's independence. As we start our walk along the bay, we'll bypass the many vendors we're about to see on the water's edge, since we'll see a lot more of them before we're done. Today's destination is the city of Willemstad, which is the capital of Curaçao. It's divided into two main areas. The first is where we are, and that's called the Otrobanda, or some say other side. It's the oldest part of the city, and it dates back to the 1630s. It's a UNESCO protected area, and the island's flag flies prominently in front of its gateway, which is now a hotel. Off in the distance, you'll see several giant hoops. These hoops are actually a very famous and important bridge, referred to by locals as the Old Swinging Lady. It's the Queen Emma Bridge. Originally built in the 1880s, it connects the two parts of the city. It's a pontoon bridge, and just like a drawbridge, it moves out of the way for ships. This one swings back and forth, and occasionally they'll even let you ride it as it moves. It's a very scenic and photogenic walk. But if you're not interested in walking this distance, well, they have other ways to get across, namely a ferry system, which at the time I was there was free. To give you an overview of where we're going to go today, I wanted to show you this aerial postcard of its most famous view. This part of the city, which receives the most visitors, is called the Punda. Now we're going to be starting right here at the end of the bridge, and then following the water's edge before turning the corner and ending somewhere up here. Right offside to the bridge, you'll find this well-known heart sculpture. It's where romantic visitors can buy a padlock and proclaim their love in Curaçao. It keeps growing each time I visit, which is a good thing. From there, the first street we'll encounter is probably the most photographed and visited street in the whole city. It's the Handelskade. The reason why is not just because of the Dutch-inspired buildings, but also because of the patio restaurant that you'll find there. It's the Iguana Cafe. Most visitors who only have a few minutes make this location their only location. The cooling water misters from above help a lot too during the summer. But we're not going to stop here because there's much more to see in the city. Another easily noticeable landmark is this bridge. It's the Queen Juliana Bridge, built in 1967. It's the tallest bridge in the Caribbean at 185 feet tall. Just thought I'd let you know. On this day, I was told there was a place I'd been overlooking that I should check out before my city visit. It was right off to the side of the jetty, just over a footbridge. Its colorful facade let me know that I had arrived at the Maritime Museum of Curaçao. I was told it was a great place to check out with its various nautical artifacts covering over 500 years of shipping history. But while the museum was open, I quickly realized that it was going to be longer than I had time, so I'll have to save it for next visit. I just wanted to let you know about it before I show you the city. Just back over that footbridge, and within chirping distance of that museum, I found these birds. They reside in a popular square that's usually very crowded, but today was Sunday, so I was given a reprieve. This unique sculpture of 3 banana quits captured my interest, since they're partially made up of computer parts and other post-consumer elements. While I'm not too sure what all this means, I do know that these birds were doing a serious jam session. So, I figured I'd join in. Okay, enough of that. Not far from those birds, you'll find the best farmers market you'll probably see in any Caribbean island. This is a location that's usually very crowded, but with the slow return to business after the shutdown, it was almost a ghost town. I always enjoy going there, and it's called the Floating Market. Not because it's actually floating, but because it backs up against the water's edge. I think it's really beautiful. Speaking of water, off in the distance I saw a round building that kind of reminded me of a Ruffles potato chip. I had never been there and was told I should visit. So I did. It was the Round Market. The resident I spoke with called it the New Market. And inside you'll find all sorts of colorful textiles, jewelry, and wares in sort of an open-air street market setting. It's a great place if you just want to buy a small memento of your time in Curaçao. Well, it was about lunchtime, and I was starting to get hungry. Now, there's plenty of places in Curaçao to eat, from casual to fancy. But the locals had told me I should visit a place by the name of Plasa Bieu, and I would find everything I was looking for in this one location. I'm certainly glad I did, because they were right. There's several vendors here, with all different types of food in a casual setting. Not only was the food great, but everyone was so friendly. It's somewhere I always stop now when I'm in town. Now, before I got going again, I wanted to stop by a local supermarket to check out the different food products that were popular on the island. There were several brands I had never even heard of before. I even picked up an ice cream cone while I was there. Another thing I was looking to do, as I've done in many other locations, is to buy a postcard or two. I know it's something that's not as popular anymore, but as long as I can find them, I like to send them out to friends. And that's what I did. Now, with that out of the way, I came across a very green and shaded area on my quest to find a place called Artist Alley. In that area, I wanted to learn a little bit more about figurines that were called Chichis. I had seen larger versions of them in hotels and restaurants and in alleyways. It turns out they have a great deal of cultural history and seem to be the #1 souvenir on the island. There's a store on the island where you can actually see them made and painted. On Curaçao, the older sister used to be called Chichi. These dolls represent that older sister, who is a strong, proud, voluptuous Caribbean woman. Well, I eventually found it. Artist's Alley. And there certainly was a lot of art to be found. There was all types of art that focused on social and cultural history of the island. You could not only look at different types of art, but you could see it being made right there too. On my way back to the ship, while admiring all the wonderful Dutch architecture, I came across a giant ice cream cone. Next to that cone was a park, and that park contained a statue of a woman. It was Wilhelmina, the Queen of the Netherlands, who granted the island's independence. The park is named after her. The town is actually named after a Dutch governor from the 1680s. Nearby that statue, I found a prominent word I had heard a lot of on the island. It was Dushi. It's mostly used on the ABC Islands, which is Aruba, Bonaire, and Curaçao. I learned it's a Papiamento word, and though it's hard to translate, it means tasty, good-looking, or great. So by that definition, I can confirm the town of Willemstad is definitely Dushi. Oh, and be careful if you call someone of the opposite sex Dushi. You're calling them delicious. Nearby that word is another giant word, which gets a lot more photographs than the Dushi sign. You can take a picture with it, but you might have to wait a bit for that to happen. Thank you so much for watching the video to the very end. And if you enjoyed it, well, here's a few others you might enjoy too. But most important, a very big thank you to all those who liked, subscribed, and left positive comments about the videos. It's made them a joy to make. And if you've already subscribed, don't forget to hit the little bell icon so you'll be notified on the next time a video pops up. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time.